Ammon Bundy, son of Cliven Bundy, who they've kind of been synonymous with this militia movement. They were behind 2 armed standoffs in Nevada and Oregon in 2014 and 2016. Ammon is now leaving the movement that he kind of was the father of. He went online and defended members of the Central American Caravan against how they were being portrayed. And here's what he said. He said, to group them all up, like frankly our president has done, trying to speak respectfully, but he has basically called them all criminals and said they're not coming in here. What about individuals, those who have come for reasons of need for their families, the fathers and mothers of children that come here and were willing to go through the process to apply for asylum so they can come into this country and benefit from not having to be oppressed continually. And so he said that to everyone. And he couldn't get through to all the people in his own movement. He said, I've always had these kinds of thoughts that people were not really listening to the principles of things, that they had aligned for me for some other reasons. Aligned with me for some other reasons, and that some of those reasons are good and some of those reasons might not be. But this last video kind of confirmed that. Here's an example of one of the reactions that he got online after saying that. How many shekels did you get to say that, Ammon Bundy? Multiple NGOs involved, mentions who's paying him, Tom Steyer, George Soros. The Bundys appear to be in the globalist payroll pushing an agenda like this. Crazy.
So 2 things here that are fascinating. One is that, I have never given the Bundys credit for anything.
Yeah.
Okay. And what Ammon Bundy did in going to Oregon, his dad started in Nevada, then he goes to Oregon and takes over federal government property and then points weapons at federal officers, borderline terrorism, and clearly not only he was arrested, should have been convicted, should be in prison right now. But at least in this case, and I am shocked to say, not that it's a left-wing position, but that it's a consistent position.
Yeah.
That he's like, I'm fighting for freedom. Right. And he went on to say that if you're a nationalist, you're saying that, hey, America is more important than freedom. And I don't believe that. And the point of America is supposed to be that we stand for freedom. And if we don't stand for that, what do we stand for? And that is actually a principled position, which I'm shocked to say. And I forgot that they were Mormons. Mm-hmm. And Mormons don't hate immigrants because they were immigrants and they were the outsiders that were driven from community. They were the others. So that's why Trump had a lot of trouble in Utah. And so, but the part I'm amused by is that he was surprised. He was shocked by the reaction. He thought there were going to be people who pushed back and didn't agree. Do you not know the right wing? You pointed guns at federal officers. Like you guys threatened violence over and over again, and he's like, oh, it turns out they didn't like what I said and then threatened me. Of course they did.
Yeah, that is an interesting part of it. But I like this story, and again, no fan of the Bundys, but I like this story a lot because it does point out that there are lines in between the middle of sort of hate, and there's the ability to say, look, those people coming in that Trump vilifies, that the people who follow me vilifies, that we take all of these, single moms with kids and people running away from getting shot in high schools by gangs that are trying to, sort of enlist them, and anything else that's happening that are here because they have economic issues or they're impoverished or whatever their reason for asylum actually is, are not criminals for wanting that, which is what we are trying to say. That is a progressive position. This is one of these interesting things where there is that sort of community of thought, but the reality is, by what has happened with most of his followers that he's talking about being concerned now going against him, and what Trump has done, as he points out, is to go exactly against that, is to collectivize hate as opposed to individualizing people.
Yeah, there's an empathy in there. That's what it is. He's like, oh, what if I put myself in their shoes? Yeah, I think I would want to come to America too and want to, if I went through the normal asylum process, be welcomed.
Yeah, and if you're confused by me saying they were also immigrants, so they're driven from the East Coast initially, and they're the others, etc. But at some point they were driven to Mexico, and then a lot of them immigrated back, including Mitt Romney's dad, right? And I want to read you graphic 52 too, because he said, it's like being in a room full of people in here trying to teach and no one's listening. The vast majority seemed to hang on to what seemed like hate and fear and almost warmongering, and I don't want to associate myself with warmongers. Ammon, what did you think you were doing, right? I mean, have you not paid attention to a single thing the right wing was saying? Of course, it's full of hate and fear. And so you didn't think they were going to turn that against you? And of course, they accuse you of conspiring with Jews and all the insane conspiracy theories, et cetera. Have you not listened to a word Trump has said?
Right. It's like these guys are wearing my uniform, but they're not on my team. That's what he kind of realized after that. And you could tell, like, to sit there and be like, we're gonna have not one, but two armed standoffs with the federal government. That is an extreme position. So, and you seem to be blind to some very realistic things that are happening and make compromises with reality in the meantime. And it doesn't shock me that he was blinded to those things. It's just so, it is more shocking to actually see it written out, and you can watch the video online.
And by the way, if you're a conservative and you think like, oh no, I don't hate immigrants either. I mean, I want borders and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of agree with what Ammon Bundy said. Open your mind for a second. You know, if you do, to Nomi's point, you might be shocked at how much we agree on. So you say, oh, well, I hate big government. You guys love big government. No, we don't. It depends, right? If government is protecting our local streams from being polluted so our kids don't get sick, then I like government. If government is starting a gigantic war in Iraq that costs all those lives and money, then I don't like big government. So there's a ton that we could agree on if everybody kept an open mind. And of all people, it turns out it's the Bundys that are. And of course, by the way, he had to burn his account. Everybody's after him, and he's done with social media. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.